Alright guys, today I'm going to be showing you the effects control panel. I'm going to be showing you the native or inherent attributes that belong to every individual clip that you drag into a timeline. In one of our previous episodes we showed you how to add effects to a clip, and in this episode I'm going to show you basically these items right here that are attached to every clip. You will have, for every clip, if you have video, it will show up here under the video effects panels, motion, opacity, and time remapping. Under the audio, if you're selecting audio down here, which we are as well, for every channel it will show you audio effects for each individual channel, and also this panner right here as well. So we've got the volume and panner, and then any sort of effects that you may add later on, which we showed in a previous episode. So first of all, if you have a clip placed down inside your timeline here, the resolution of this timeline right now is 1920 by 1080. And up here you'll notice we've got the motion, opacity, and time remapping. I'm going to start covering those on the video part. If you arrow these down here, you'll notice under the motion you have attributes such as position, scale, scale width, rotation, anchor point, and anti-flicker filter. Under opacity, you basically have, this is how opaque or transparent the video can become, controlled by the percentage here. And also under opacity, you'll find a blend mode, which is an option of blending one video clip together with another video clip if one is placed on top of the other. And then time remapping, and this is to control the speed of your clip and change it. And you can actually, with time remapping, you can actually add keyframes and change the speed of the clip in different segments and make it go faster then slower, and you can do that on a Bezier curve as well, and we will get into that. So first of all, let's cover motion. Up here at the top, you've got these two sets of numbers up here. On this clip specifically, you've got 960 and 540. That is basically the center position of these pixels right here. This has a resolution of 1920 by 1080. This is basically dividing those two numbers in half here. So right here, 960 represents halfway across. If you double that, you'll get 1920. As we move across here, halfway across, that's 960 pixels, you'll get the dead center going across horizontally. 540 is half the pixels down, so 540 times 2 is going to be 1080. So that's 1920 by 1080, and this pixel here, 960 by 540, is going to be the very center point of this clip. If you move your mouse over the horizontal position number here and you click and grab it and hold on to it and move it left or right, you'll notice it actually grabs this image and moves it to the left or right. Now, one thing I want to show you over here in the window is when you move that back and forth and you change it, you'll notice this black area right here, and then you'll notice the lighter grayish area here, or the darker area over here. What this represents, I'm going to go under zoom level here, and we're going to tell this to go down to 50%, so it's going to zoom out a bit. This area out here represents the area outside of your signal. You'll end up seeing wireframes out here when you're wanting to manipulate something and move it off screen. But right here, this black area represents your television screen, the area that will be seen and will be left in the video. If we just simply delete this, you'll notice here is your area right there that's all black, and out here represents no video signal. So this is the image that you're going to be seeing in here. I'm going to undo that, select that clip, and look at the effects control panel again. So once again, if we grab this horizontal here, we move it back and forth, you can move this all the way off the screen, and the video is still there, it's just not being seen on screen anymore. So if we move that off, there you go. I'm just going to go over here and hit this little reset parameter button. It'll bring it back to the middle. And the same on vertical. If we grab this here and click and drag left and right, it'll move it vertically. And if you actually export this out, it will leave this black bar right here on the top. That is part of your video signal. I'm going to reset that again. Now let's go to scale. So scale here, if you simply, right now 100% is just neutral. That's the way the video comes in at 100% filling the frame. If you click and drag on that, you'll notice it starts zooming up. So in this instance, say we want to zoom up on this fellow right here. So if we zoom up so much, and keep in mind that eventually if you keep zooming up, keep in mind that it's going to lose resolution, and it is dipping the quality the more you zoom up. Let's demonstrate that. As we zoom up here, you start seeing the individual pixels and the compression, and that's like at 1,595% there. That's pretty big. So I'm going to reset that back to 100. Well, let's say we want to zoom up to this guy over here on this side. So right now I'm going to click my zoom, and notice he's been cropped out of the frame. So now all I have to do is go up to my position and move this over on the horizontal line until he's in the shot. And say we don't want that little black bar on the end, I'm just going to have to move that out just enough, and now we can see him. If we want to keep zooming up, oh, got him flipping the bird. Let's move over here, and there we go. Now as we play through this, the video will play through, and we see it zoomed up onto this guy there. So that's basically the way the scale works there. I'm going to reset all parameters here. Also down here, right underneath the scale, you'll see uniform scale. Under uniform scale here, if you check mark this, you will have access to the height and the width separately. Whereas before, if you click on this, they are locked together. As you change the scale on the vertical, it's going to change the scale on the width as well. So if I uncheck that, now I can actually make it wider or make it taller or skinnier, flatten it out, or make it not as wide. So usually you'll want to keep your uniform scale check marked for most of what you do. I'm going to reset this. Next we have rotation. If you click on this once again and drag, it'll rotate to, I'm pulling this to the right, it will rotate clockwise. If you pull it to the left, it will rotate counterclockwise. And it will show you the degrees that you've rotated it right there. One thing you can also do is you can actually click on these things. You can just click right on a numerical value and actually type in the values. If you want to zoom up 150, on my numpad I can type 150 and hit return, and it will zoom up 150. We're going to reset that. The anchor point we will deal with in later episodes, but what this does is basically, right now it's got the anchor point in the dead center point of this video here at 960 by 540, just like we have it here on position. The anchor point is right in the middle. And what that will change is how your video rotates, where it decides to rotate, and it'll also help with animation as well, which we'll get into in a future episode. But if we change this anchor point here, what it's doing is it's moving the anchor point up here, and right now you can't see it. If we go to the little motion here and click on this little square up there, this will put a wireframe on and will actually show you where your anchor point is. And if we grab this anchor point and move it up to the corner, let go, our anchor point is right there. Now watch what happens as we rotate this. It'll rotate around that anchor point. It's basically pinning this by using the anchor point, and you can change the anchor point right down here. And the last part here under the motion tab is going to be the anti-flicker filter. The anti-flicker filter is hardly used anymore. This was really made for when we were shooting high definition video and we were taking it down to standard definition size. What you would get is when you would get a lot of lines all together, if you got a lot of thin lines that were really close together, like say on a plaid shirt or something like that, you would get some wavy areas around those fine lines on the high resolution. And when you try to take it down to standard definition, you would get a flicker. So you just grab this and you could drag that up, and if you see that issue, you can just drag that up all the way to 1. 1 is all the way turned on, and 0 is no anti-flicker filter, and it would help eliminate that flicker in a standard definition video. So sometimes when you get what's called the moire effect, which is a whole bunch of vertical or horizontal lines that are really, really close together, and you'll get that kind of wavy flicker going, you can turn on your anti-flicker filter. So let's go through wireframe next. Up here, I already showed you this little thing right here on the motion tab. If you go up to the motion tab, this is a wireframe right here. If you click on this, it's going to show your wireframe on your video. And you'll have a little bit more manual functionality to all these attributes listed under your motion tab. If I just simply click on this, notice it brings up a wireframe around my video. And you'll notice these little nodes around the corner. If you go to each one of these corners here, these are basically for scale. If you grab the middle of the image while you're on wireframe, that's basically your position. So you've got basically scale and position inside the video. Let's demonstrate that. I'm going to click the edge here, this node, and hold down my mouse and move it in. We just scaled it down to 46%. You'll notice it just changed right there. If you want to make it bigger, grab it, just move it out. And you'll notice here, the wireframe, this video goes outside the signal this far right here. So if you need to be able to bring that back and you want to do it with the wireframe, I'm going to go down to 50%, and we'll see the wireframe, how much we've zoomed up. I can grab the edge of this and zoom it back in or zoom it out a little bit more. And now if we're trying to look at a certain person in here or reframe this, I can just simply grab this and this will change position. Let's make this bigger. I'm going to grab the video and move it right there. I just zoomed up, kind of turned this from a wider shot to a kind of a medium shot there by zooming up on it and repositioning it. So as I zoomed up, you notice it cropped off his head, so I can just grab the position and move it back down. This is kind of nice when you have really high resolution images like 4K footage or 5K footage. You're able to zoom up a little bit without necessarily losing visual quality. So I'm going to reset this. I'm going to go down, while we still have the wireframe up, I'm going to move my mouse right around this node in the corner here. And as you move it close to this node here and you get it right out on the edge there, right there, that's for scale. Out here, you get this little rotation icon. If I click and drag that, it will start rotating my image. So basically everything that I was doing over here, you can kind of do a lot of those options over here with a wireframe by simply clicking wireframe over here, and it will bring up that wireframe once again. Now if you want to turn it off, you just deselect the video and it gets rid of the wireframe. But then you have to select it again, you select the video, go up and click on the wireframe again. Now the anchor point that we showed you with helping rotation, which will also help with animation, when you have the wireframe up, you no longer have to go over to this anchor point and kind of find out where that anchor point is existing. You can just move your mouse over, grab it, and move your anchor point where you want it. Say I want to rotate around this corner. I'm just going to move it over to that corner. I'm going to grab the entire image and move it over. I'm going to shrink it. And now I'm going to rotate it. And notice it rotates around that anchor point right there. Okay, and that is basically the motion tab in the effects controls panel. So I'm going to reset my motion here, and we're going to go to the next one, which is opacity. Opacity, this controls how transparent or how opaque your video clip is. Right now it's 100% opaque. That means you cannot see through it. Let's do this. I'm going to grab an image here of the US map. This is kind of a high-res image here. I'm going to drag this and drop this in over the top of my movie file here. Now let's make this a little bit larger. And actually another way to bring up the wireframe is if you got the video clip selected, you can just move up here. And if your mouse is hovering over it, you can double click on it. It will actually bring up that wireframe and save you from having to click on this little wireframe there. I'm going to make this bigger right there so it covers the video behind it. Okay, so we dropped this map in here, and I've increased the size to 125%, so it's now no longer showing the video below it. If we bring the size down, notice you'll eventually be able to see the video clip below it. So whatever's on top down here will take priority and will show that's on the top layer, and that's what's showing on top of the hierarchy and will be showing first. So if we delete that, then you'll see the video that's below it. If we resize it, you'll see the video that's below it. And also, if we grab the opacity here, if we arrow this down, one thing you got to notice is, for some reason, I'm not sure why, but in Premiere, they have the opacity already turned on. They have the keyframer already turned on opacity. They're assuming that you want to do keyframing when you start working with opacity, which is kind of weird. I kind of wish that that wasn't the default, but you can turn that off there. And now if we grab the opacity here and turn it down, notice it starts turning transparent and you start seeing through it. That's at 25% right there, and we're seeing through the video below it. If we put it at 90%, you'll see faint images of the clip behind it there. And yeah, as you just grab this and drag it down, you're going to see, eventually you will see the video below it. If you turn that down to 0, that video is basically still there, that JPEG is still there, but it's now completely transparent. And there's one other way of manipulating the opacity here. Notice if you still had this turned on, the opacity turned on, and you start moving this up and down, it's going to change the opacity. It's going to add a keyframe and make it at that point there, but it's going to be the same before and the same after that keyframe. If you're familiar with animation, now you can go and grab it at a different point and turn it up. It basically will turn from 10% opacity to 100% opacity right there, and you see that moving up as we play through it. So usually if you want the whole clip just turned down on the opacity, just go ahead and turn that off, and then you can turn it up and down, and it does it for the entire clip. Another way of doing that is moving down inside your timeline, and if you do Shift plus and increase your track height, you will see these lines here on your video. If you do not see these, all you have to do is go up to your little wrench here, click on that, and tell it to show your video keyframes. If that's not there, it's going to get rid of those and you no longer have the video keyframes. I'm going to tell it to show video keyframes, and this is your opacity line by default right here. If you grab that and drag it down, it'll turn it, that's 33% opacity right there. And we can see through it. There's 0, so we're seeing it's completely transparent. If we grab it and drag it up, that's 100% right there. Okay, the blend mode under opacity is a way of blending video on top with video below it. If we change this blend mode right here, we'll go into this in compositing in a later episode. We'll go through the details of all these. But if you pull this down right now as normal, that's just normal opacity. That's just a normal blend mode right there. That just means it is just the regular image is completely overriding the image below it. Pull this down and we do something like, let's do overlay here. Overlay will take the lighter portions of the image and key it out so you see the image below it. So it's kind of this overlay effect. If we drag this down, we do darken, it'll take different portions of it. We'll have to go through this later. I will go through this in a later episode, and we'll kind of show the nitty-gritty of these things here and what they basically mean. But you can go through and experiment and see what different types of blend modes you get. It basically decides to blend this image here with this, and some of these depend on the darker or will depend on the image below it, and some of them will depend on some of the contrast and color and other things of the image above it, depending on which one blend mode you choose here. I'm just going to turn that back to normal, and you'll get different effects by doing different blend modes. So here's kind of a funky look here. It's taking kind of the darker bricks and it's compositing that out and getting rid of the map from above. So it gives kind of an interesting little effect there. And one other thing I want to cover here as well is importing images. Because I've got kind of this high-res image here, because this is important with scaling. With the if we select this clip, if you go up to the scaling under your motion tab, this will be very important with your scaling here. So I'm going to go up to Premiere, go to Preferences, and go to our General Preferences here. And I'm going to show you this little thing right here. By default, this is not checked in Premiere. That is unchecked right there. If this is checkmarked, I've covered this on a previous episode, as you import footage, it's going to default the images. It's going to have that option selected on all the footage that you import. And anytime you drag something that's larger resolution into a smaller resolution timeline or vice versa, it will scale that image either down or up to fit into your timeline image if it has that check marked on it. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to delete that maps there. I'm going to go up to our preferences in general, and I'm going to have this unchecked right now. So I'm going to uncheck default scale to frame size. Now I'm going to import my map here. It's a high resolution. This timeline is 1920 by 1080, and this map here is almost 5K of resolution here. So now that I've got that map imported, I'm going to go up and go to Preferences, General, and I'm going to check mark it. And now I'm going to import that map again. So with that check marked, I'm going to import the map. So this top map doesn't have that default scale size on applied to this clip, but this one it does down here. I'm going to rename that so I remember USA scale. We'll call that scale so I remember that that is the one that's been default scaled here. Watch what happens when I drag the scale image in that has that attribute check marked on it. I'm going to drag it in, drop it. It makes that map size, scales it down until it fits inside this image here, until it fits inside my timeline here. It's missing some edges because the aspect ratio is not the same as the video clip. But now if we delete that, actually I'm going to leave that in there. I'm going to grab the other one and drag it on top of that. This one does not have it. I'm going to move it down a little bit just so I can kind of show you the difference. And look what it did. It recognizes the resolution. It fit as many pixels as it can in there for the 1920 by 1080, just centered it. And there's a whole bunch of that image out here. Let's go down to 10% and show you this. Select that. Go up to the wireframe and notice, look how much resolution is outside of this video clip. With this one, you select it, it's all right there inside the image, right there. Go to the other one, select it, select our wireframe, and look how much resolution. This one here was imported when we had it check marked, the default scale size, and this one was imported when we had it unchecked. And that's how it will treat those clips that you import while you have that check marked. One other thing that this does, if it has brought it in like this, it's going to treat it like this is now 1920 by 1080. So if you zoom up on 1920 by 1080, it's eventually going to pixelize, of course. So I'm going to hit the wireframe. Actually, let's just arrow this down. I'm going to go to scale. I'm going to zoom up till we can see the words Kansas right there. 668%. Now if we move to this next clip here and we do the same thing, I'm going to zoom up till we see the words Kansas. And now look at the difference. From the first clip here, it looks all pixely. From the next clip, this looks really nice. Because this is 5K of resolution, and we've zoomed it up, 250%. So this resolution looks pretty decent. If we zoom this up enough, eventually we'll see the pixels and it won't look very good. There you go. But we will have more power with zooming this up here. It is referencing the original resolution of the clip, where this one is not. This one brought it in, interpreted it as a 1920 by 1080 clip, and now when you zoom up on it, you will see the quality loss. So just be aware of those issues when you're using scale as you import images and as you import video footage. And just keep in mind what resolution your video images are or your still images compared to your timeline. And lastly here, I just want to cover the audio volume parameters here in the effects controls panel, and this is pretty simple here. The panner, if you arrow this down, is pretty much going to pan your speakers to the left or right. I'm going to play this clip right down here. We've got two channels, one really doesn't have audio on it and one that does. I'm going to option select this clip and delete it. Option select this and option arrow up will move it up. And as I play this audio channel is right now panning to both left and right channels on my stereo channel. If we go up to the panner here and we grab this, right now you'll notice it has the keyframe already turned on, which will add a keyframe right in the middle of it. I don't want that. I want to do it the entire clip. I can turn that off, and I can grab this and drag it to the right. And now as I play, it pans all that audio, so it just plays in the right speaker and not the left. And as I grab this and drag it backwards to 0 is center, but I'm going to drag it to -100 and play, and now it just plays out of my left speaker. And that's how the pan works. I'm going to turn that back to 0, go up to the volume. Now the volume here as well will have these keyframes already added to it on bypass, which basically turns off the audio, and the level. I'm going to turn off my keyframer for the level here, and I'm just going to grab the entire level, and we're going to increase the volume. And if you crank that up and then you play, it's going to be loud. That turned up the volume there. And if we grab that and turn it down, let's turn it down to like -24, and we play, you can barely hear it. And if you turn that all the way down to infinity there, so all the way, if you turn that all the way down there, then you can't even hear it, and there's no audio level coming out of it at all. And that's basically the level. So on the opacity, the volume, and the panning, these keyframes are already turned on. You'll have to usually just turn those off if you want to do the generalized kind of the volume or the opacity or the panning for the entire clip, as opposed to adding a keyframe for it, which we will get into in an upcoming episode soon. That's about it for this episode. I'm going to be covering time remapping in its very own episode, and that one is next.